there can be a bit of a lull as you kind of start really kind of merging the two worlds together and understanding, and that's okay. You don't have to rush it. And that allows you the time to really, take an audit of the assets that you currently have, take an audit of your marketing technology stack, take an audit of the partners that you maybe work with from an external support or freelancer side of things. You're kind of evaluating all of those resources and taking that moment to breathe and really make sure that you're making strategic decisions for the future of your company is incredibly important, because ultimately, what does a merger and acquisition mean? It's growth, and it's strategic growth in the future. We want to be set up for success no matter where we go.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, your essential resource for mastering the unique challenges of social media marketing in the hospitality industry authentically. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode we dive deep into the real issues, from evolving guest expectations to standout social campaigns, sharing insights and strategies you can put to work. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, successes, and stories of social media community professionals in the industry, just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. Now, every hospitality brand faces moments of transformation, but few are as challenging as a major merger. When two established companies combine forces, the stakes couldn't be higher. You're tasked with preserving the trust and recognition you've built while simultaneously creating something new and powerful. For marketing leaders, it's like performing a high wire act. Maintain the equity you've earned while building excitement for what's coming next. And many marketing directors find themselves asking, how do we honor our legacy while embracing change? What elements of our brand do we keep? And what do we reinvent? Well, today we're joined by Ashley Currin, Director of Marketing at CSI DMC, who's currently steering one of the industry's most significant mergers between CSI DMC and 360 DG. With over 18 years of experience in destination management and a proven track record of driving successful marketing initiatives, Ashley brings unique insights into the delicate art of brand evolution during major organizational change. Hey, Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thrilled to be involved and have the conversation. So,
I'm excited to have you here. This isn't a topic we've explored before, and yet I know it happens all the time. In fact, it's happening right now here at Agorapulse. We just acquired Mention. And so we're going through this exact same process. While we're not necessarily a hospitality brand, I know a lot that you're going to share today is going to be just as applicable to us. So walk us through, if you would, some of those initial challenges that you identified when planning this merger from these two established brands.
yeah, so I think, the big thing is we're two established brands with an incredible amount of brand equity. And I think the conversation is always, how do you take those two brands, bring them together, preserve that equity, but also build something new and something exciting? And I think the key for me has been, it's people and clients first. We've kind of said that mantra from the beginning. My counterpart at 360 Destination Group on the marketing side, everything with our internal and external communications has been, how do we make sure that we are building along the culture that we've already created in both brands, and making sure that they're along for the journey, and then communicating that journey to our clients so that they can also feel like they're being brought along for the journey as well. Um, and as you'll learn, and as you know, it's not an easy lift. So it's really kind of developing that strategic approach to make sure that we can really make a meaningful impact as we kind of continue and start this journey.
So to that point, if you want to make a strategic impact, how did you start? Were there specific steps that you took to kind of audit or maybe evaluate some of the existing brand equity from both companies?
Yeah, and we're in that right now, to be honest and transparent, Mike. So the big thing for us was to make sure that the initial push and the initial rush, right, when it comes to a merger acquisition, is that initial communications plan, right? So how do we make sure that people are understanding and really learning what our true objectives are? And in that messaging, in the forefront of what we communicated was, we're continuing to do business as separate entities until we actually have a new brand to launch, because we want to make sure that our clients feel supported. Oftentimes, they're working with teams and destinations that they've worked with for multiple programs over multiple years. We want to make sure they have that continuity. So that was really kind of a key part of that strategic communications plan, so that people are feeling supported, despite there being this kind of moment of transition. Um, and then, our next big stage of it was obviously kind of understanding exactly what we need to do to build a new brand. And the key to that is finding a really great agency partner. So that was kind of our next big stage, is to really figure out who we wanted to go along this journey with, in terms of the brand identity and the digital presence that we're going to build, and again, sunsetting our old brands to make sure that we're still kind of retaining the equity but pushing it towards this new future brand that we're developing. So that was kind of where we are right now, is that next stage. And then I think thirdly, and where we're going to go in the future, is we're going to continue to audit what's working for both brands. Where can we diversify our offerings? Where can we streamline our offerings? Where can we really pivot and embrace new ideas to make sure that we're keeping the best of the best and we're losing the rest, so to speak. Because we really want to walk away with this as like, hey, we've done this thoughtfully, and we're going to do it the best as we can to support our clients moving forward.
Talk to me for a moment about these different brands for listeners who maybe aren't familiar with
Mhm.
what either of you guys do. Could you share that?
Yeah. So, I think destination management is kind of sometimes often overlooked area of the hospitality world. Everyone's familiar with hospitality when it comes to venues or vendors or hotels, especially. But destination management companies are really the boots on the ground, the local expertise when corporate groups are coming into destinations. They really understand the market, they understand the vendors, they understand the local impact, and can really develop thoughtful, exciting, creative program elements for groups that are coming in. So we kind of look at ourselves as being that kind of secret sauce. Once you've picked your hotel and you've picked your destination, we kind of come in and do the rest. And so that's really kind of a luxury service that we offer our clients, is that partnership ability to really blow it out of the water, to make it the most memorable experience for your guests and your attendees.
Love it. So as you're working with these clients, how are you approaching the challenge of maintaining, their confidence in the brands while also trying to make all these significant changes to these brands?
Yeah, I think the key is, we both come from a very similar culture, both CSI DMC and 360 Destination Group, and that was imperative, right, in this kind of merger of equals. And I think the key that we're really finding is the communications about where we are right now and where we're going, but really the messaging to our clients is, hey, we are going to be able to offer you so much more. We walked in with our kind of unique offerings of destinations that, were smaller in scope, and now we're going to be able to offer expertise in 46 destinations across the country. So we we have really kind of honed in on this message of like it's going to be the same but better and bigger. We're going to be able to offer you more. We're going to be able to have more support behind you to execute events wherever you go. And so it's kind of merging those messages together of it's going to be better, and but we're going to keep the things that are the best, and that culture aspect is not.
Love that. So now I'm wondering what role has digital marketing played in communicating these kinds of transformative changes to all the various stakeholders that you're talking to?
I think the key was at the very beginning stages was making sure that we had one-on-one conversations with our key clients, to kind of expand on what this merger was about, and then from there we really ramped up our digital marketing efforts. So making sure that our kind of clients, more broadly, we're provided the message of what this merger means. We've made some, changes to our website to make sure that there's a continual messaging opportunity about what the transformation looks like. People can come back in, they can see what's going on, that kind of continual pulse point. And then, I think what we've done too that we felt was really important is because we are really embracing this idea of being these two separate entities starting out, and kind of retaining that until we are a new brand, is being really thoughtful and considerate about where our messaging does unify. So, when it comes to what we want to say together as a unified CSI DMC and 360 DG approach, we take that with thoughtful consideration. So while it seems exciting and it seems really tempting to kind of run out of the gate and be like, "Hey, we're one unified company, and we want our messaging to be aligned, and we want all of our digital strategy to be aligned." We really took the time to be thoughtful about that, so that we can make sure that we're ramping that up at an appropriate speed.
Got it. And it does sound exciting. It also sounds like a lot of hard work. You make it sound so easy. I know there have been some challenging moments. So I'm wondering if you could share like maybe a specific branding element or something like that that proved particularly challenging to evolve and how you addressed it.
Yeah, I think, for us, we are at the very beginning stages of onboarding our agency partner. I think the biggest challenge that we are kind of going to face is this naming piece, right? When you're in this brand evolution, the name can have so much emotion tied to it, as well as there's the tactical side. There's the pressure testing and trademarking that comes with it, but that name is so important and valuable to set the tone as you kind of create this design architecture. So while we haven't hit that challenge yet, we know that's going to be one of those first challenges for us, is to really kind of unify and get behind a name. But I think that's why you pick a really great agency partner and you lean on someone that you know has that expertise, and can really unify stakeholders early on, to rally behind the name, so that we can make sure that we nail that out the gate.
That makes a lot of sense. And I can see both how important it is and how challenging a decision like that would be. Folks, we're talking with Ashley Currin about the situation many hospitality marketers might find themselves in, emerging brands. And in a moment, we're going to talk about measuring success, tools, and more. But first, let's make sure you've got enough bandwidth to even consider some of Ashley's ideas.
When I take a look at the biggest core benefit for AgoraPulse, I have to look at two sides of the equation. I have to look at what it does for us, as far as managing our community and all of the conversation management tools, which I appreciate so much. But from a far more pragmatic point of view, it saves us money. It saves us a lot of money because of the productivity features that are built in with how it manages those conversations. We don't waste time. We're efficient.
AgoraPulse allows me to get through all my messages and my replies really quickly. That's probably the number one reason for me wanting to use the tool. It saves so much time.
A big draw for me with AgoraPulse was the ability to manage my YouTube comments. That is a huge feature for me, and here's why. Because up until then, I basically would have to go into my social media manager system to do everything there, and then I'd have to log out, go back into YouTube, and do the same thing there. Now, when you are managing multiple clients, this becomes a huge waste of time, right? And what we want to do is streamline that efficiency. So we can log into one website now. We can manage all of our major social profiles there, and we're able to serve our clients with more clarity and purpose.
They worked with us, they helped train us on how to get everything up and going, and we were able to cancel out all the other tools that we didn't need anymore. So it saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache for my team members, as they're, now they only have one tool that they can maximize their clients in.
So, Ashley, as you're going through all of these changes and transformations and evolutions, how are you actually measuring success through all of this?
Yeah, I think the early onset success has to be engagement, right? How are we really getting the engagement from our customers, from our clients, from our internal team? So I think that's kind of the key thing there. I think as we continue down and we are in the digital evolution phase of the new brand, and really kind of building out our UX and UI for our website, that's when we can really dig into the meat of, like, what does the consumer journey kind of look like, and how can we make sure that it is shored up to be a successful consumer journey. And then we're really going to lean heavily on what is that post launch engagement and kind of brand awareness looks like. I think there's something to be said in a brand like this. A lot of what you're going to gain from a data set is awareness and engagement, and those are going to be sometimes hard to quantify. Um, but I think it's important that we think about those two things as being kind of the key pivotal moments for us to be able to say, okay, we've really hit an area of success if we can kind of meet those KPIs within the engagement and the awareness perspective. So I think that's going to be key. I think, obviously we're going to be able to really streamline our workflows and processes under one brand. I mean, we have a really strong side with 360 Destination Group with their digital marketing efforts and their performance marketing. So I think that will also lead into the ability to really shore up and set up us for success to really understand our consumer journey. So I think there's a lot of things that are gonna define success, but I think the early on metrics when you're starting off from a branding approach is gonna be that awareness and that engagement.
That makes a lot of sense. Are there any tools or platforms that have helped you with that or anything else in managing this brand transformation?
Yeah, I mean, we're still kind of uncovering what we use, what they use, what makes sense. We're going to be getting together in the next couple of weeks with our IT departments and some of our other key leadership team members to really understand what tools do we want to keep when we continue forward as a new brand. I think internally on the CSI DMC side, I could speak to that. We love Asana. I think we live and breathe and die by Asana from a workflow management. Marketing gets asked a lot of different questions on a daily basis, a lot of different asks. We're pulled in a lot of different places, but that gives us the ability to really manage workflow from creative to strategic development to deliverable. So I think that's a key one that I think works really well for our team. I think the other thing too is, we're really plugged in with HubSpot, especially on the 360 Destination Group side. They have really built out a really incredible, robust platform that works very hard for them from a digital marketing perspective. So we're excited and encouraged to kind of, you know, get that additional tool in our toolbox built up a little bit more. So really I think it's kind of understanding what are the best of the best right now and understanding what we're using, what they're using, and then merging that together into one kind of unified marketing technology stack.
I think you're right. Having a solid project management system
Mm,
going into
key.
this, having a solid CRM system.
Yes.
I think we're finding at Agorapulse, having a very robust documentation
Yeah.
platform. We use Slide, and over the past few years, we've trained ourselves to put more and more into that platform. And what's really amazing is over the past year, they've introduced so much artificial intelligence capabilities where now you can simply ask either in Slide or in Slack a natural language question. Do we have this? How do we do that? Whatever. And it gives you those resources and answers right there. It's
It
fantastic. It saves so much time.
it's incredible. I mean, that evolution side of the world. I mean, we just had the luxury not to attend in person, although we wished, to tune into Canva Create. And just, Canva is such a hugely kind of embraced platform across every aspect. And I think they are continuing to invest in not just using Canva as a design tool, which is what was originally intended to, but how to actually use it as a workflow and a project management tool. Launching the Canva sheets, and they now have Canva coding. I mean, it's just incredible what they've kind of added to their offerings. So it was really exciting to kind of hear Canva is a tool that we also use pretty frequently in terms of our design and how we co-collaborate across different departments. So it was really exciting to hear what their trajectory was and what they're rolling out.
Yeah. Yeah. So beyond tools, are there any other resources or industry experts, influencers, whatever that you've turned to for help, guidance, inspiration during this whole process?
A sounding board? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I think again, I keep beating the nail on the head, but I think having a strategic agency partner when you're in this place is really important. I think the key tip is you don't know everything. And as marketing folks, I think we're sometimes generalists in a lot of areas. So it's okay to say, hey, I really need to have some expertise in this space to make sure that I'm really thinking through everything that I need to think through. So I think that's been incredibly important. We've had such incredible support from an integration and uh, leadership perspective as well, in kind of my navigating this new world. Um, and I would say, for me, it's just leaning on. Leaning on our team. I mean, our team is incredibly well versed and they've been through mergers and acquisitions before, especially in our leadership side. So, having that guidance and expertise from inside the room makes a huge difference. So I think those are the kind of the things that I think are really valuable.
Those are incredibly valuable, and I hope everyone listening, if you're going through or about to go through this kind of experience, that you have that luxury of being able to turn to an outsourced agency or have team members on staff who've been through something like this before. I guess if you haven't, that is another way where AI can help you. You can turn to AI as a resource. If you give it the right context, make it into a kind of an AI work buddy and have it understand, make sure it understands what you're going through and it can give you tremendous advice. So speaking of advice, Ashley, what advice would you give to other hospitality marketing leaders who might be facing challenges like this in the future?
Yeah, I would say, I'd like to rephrase that. I don't think it's a challenge, it's an opportunity. And I think that approach can really make the messaging feel hopeful and optimistic and exciting, right? So I think my biggest piece of advice would be take it slow. It feels like a really big ramp up to that announcement phase. And, there's a lot of PR that goes into it, a lot of messaging, internal, external comms, all of the considerations that come with just announcing something like this. And then there can be a bit of a lull as you kind of start really kind of merging the two worlds together and understanding. And that's okay. You don't have to rush it. Um, and that allows you the time to really, you know, take an audit of the assets that you currently have, take an audit of your marketing technology stack, take an audit of the partners that you maybe work with from an external support or freelancer side of things. um, you're kind of evaluating all of those resources and taking that moment to breathe and really make sure that you're making strategic decisions for the future of your company is incredibly important. Because ultimately, what does a merger and acquisition mean? It's growth and it's strategic growth in the future, and hopefully that we want to be set up for success no matter where we go. So I would say take it slow. Don't feel like you have to, build it all overnight. And then really just, making sure that you bring your internal stakeholders and external stakeholders along on the journey. We say all the time that our biggest brand ambassadors are our team. And when we launched this new brand, we would be nothing without them. So they need to be prepared and excited and enthusiastic to go out into the world and talk about, all the wonderful things that are coming out of this merger. And that's so important and almost equally as important as developing the external messaging and the external involvement and engagement. So I think that's another key one is just know your team is going to have the biggest impact on how they message this and how they continue to engage in business. And so we want to make sure that they are bought in and they're excited and we're always thinking about them.
Actually, I loved how you reframed this. You were spot on. This is not a challenge, it's an opportunity. And I love the powerful message that you just shared with everyone listening. Folks, bookmark this episode because while you may not be going through something like this now, it's probably going to happen within the next few years of your career. These things happen all the time in every industry. And it will be really beneficial to you to go back and listen to everything that Ashley just said because she's fantastic. But that's all the time we've got for today. So for folks who maybe want to connect with you, Ashley, or they've got more questions, where should they go?
Yeah, I can find me on LinkedIn. I would also say if I could do a little plug here, we CSI DMC has an incredible podcast called Event Planner Confessions, where we really dive into a lot of the hospitality side of the world and what that means and the impact that planners feel. So it's a really great resource and tool. So yeah, I'd love to drop you guys a link and definitely follow us there. But find me on LinkedIn and just happy to see this journey. And I really appreciate the conversation today.
Fantastic. We'll have all those links in the show notes below. And that is a great recommendation on the podcast. We've talked about event planning a couple of times on this podcast, but not extensively. So if that's what part of your role, and I know a lot of you have that as part of your roles, go back
Whether
and
you want to
subscribe to
or
that
not,
podcast.
right?
That's right. Whether you want to or not, you're handling the events at your venue or hotel. But that's all the time we've got for today, friends. Don't forget to find the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition on Apple and drop me a review. I'd love to know what you think, what you'd like to see us cover in a future episode. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by Agorapulse, the #1 rated social media management solution. Discover more at agorapulse.com. Enjoyed the episode? Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback drives our content.